What would we possibly do on The Simpsons?
I mean, what couldn't we do? You could talk about everything.
I know, but that could be, like, there's entire podcasts dedicated to just talking about The Simpsons all the time.
This is an introduction to writing, like, introduction to literature.
Okay, maybe, yeah, if we got, like, more specific.
Yeah, you could do, like, because I think the first time when I was a little kid, I heard about the Tall Tale Heart, or the Raven, or,
Yeah, because they do it in the Treehouse of Horror
yeah.
thing. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt again. You keep going.
That's alright. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be... I don't know if the listeners would want to hear that, but...
Let us know or not.
I mean, if you're feeling like it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sorry, it's been like a real long week. I'm so out of it, and this quarter has been so fucking crazy for me, dude. Like, here's what my schedule has become now. So Mondays, Wednesdays, I'm in classes from about 9 to 4.
Oh.
Drive home, it takes me an hour because traffic in LA sucks. Get home, do reading and homework for Tuesday. Luckily, I get to sleep in on Tuesdays and Thursdays if I'm not doing anything in the morning, like working on projects with anyone or anything. But then I gotta go work because I tutor kids now, and that's tiring.
Yeah,
to say the least. And if they call me in early, I'll still do it because I need the extra hours. But it's kindergartners if I go in early.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So.
What age group are you tutoring?
Usually fifth.
Usually fifth.
Usually fifth. Okay. Sometimes they'll let me do the sixth graders or like middle schoolers.
Right.
Because maybe one of them's absent or something, or one of the other tutors just needs a cover. So I'll do it. But if they need help for kindergartners, it's usually that, and it's like 8 of them, I think, and they don't have motor skills.
No. To
do stuff.
That's why they need safety scissors.
They can't even walk properly.
Are these are they toddlers? They're
no. They can walk. They can walk. They can't walk right. Not like us big adults.
Not like us adults who like balance.
Who have mastered bipedal motion.
Sure.
Past our simian cousins. I don't know why I gotta add that. So it's that. And it's very tiring. And then I go to class. And I'm there till like 7. Get home at around like 8, 9, maybe. And then those days I just go straight to bed because then I gotta wake up early for the mornings. And then I got recordings like this. And then we started streaming for the other channel. So we didn't do it last Friday. This may or may not time it for when we're recording. But I'm trying to make it a regular Friday thing.
Oh, okay. Live stream.
Mm-hmm. Especially because I already announced this. We're doing like Kingdom Hearts. Well, I'm gonna do Kingdom Hearts. All of it. All the spin-offs. All of them? Yeah. That's leading up to 3.
I don't even play games that much, and I know that sounds like a fucking crazy thing to
do. I
do.
know. That's what I'm doing.
There's Kingdom Hearts 2.
Because I'm a masochist, and I feel... There's Kingdom Hearts. There's Chain of Memories. And then there's 358 over 2 days.
What the fuck does that... we've already talked about this title, but...
Actually, I think I gave the full explanation. I think one episode.
You did.
And those are all. But I'm gonna be doing the remastered, so for that one, that's just watching all cutscenes. Okay. So that's gonna be me more with just like popcorn going. This is shit. This storytelling shit. And like, and the darkness. I don't care if it's some thing for mental illness or finding yourself as a kid, because it's not specific. I'll go into my whole rants. About this stuff. And then it's Kingdom Hearts 2. And then it's Birth by Sleep. And then it's there's another movie one. Recoded. And then it's Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Then Kingdom Hearts the Aqua chapter, I forget what it's fucking called. And then it's a movie based on the events of the mobile game that came out, Kingdom Hearts Kai. So, and it's the prequel. No. It takes, but it's the ending. It's the whole story of that game, but done really kind of surprisingly. I've already watched that. It may be the best like writing in the entire. You know why? You know why? Because it's a self-contained story, and like it only has because it happens so far before anything else in the game that you could just do whatever as long as there's one thing at the end that may or may not connect everything. And it may have one of the best acting in there. It's actually one of them's like legitimately pretty good voice acting, or at least I find the actor pretty good.
Who's that?
Fuck, I forget his name. He does Noctis in FF15.
Oh, okay.
And surprisingly, Noctis is like a really well done character.
Is Haley Joel Osment still involved in the?
Yeah. Because Sora grows up, so Haley Joel Osment gets to grow up. And do his voice. Yeah.
One day I would really like to play a game where we just write a bunch of multiple syllabic words in 3 different hats and make up names for like.
Oh man, maybe. Like that, we could do that in the sense that, hey, for homework before a podcast, just write out fucking list of names. Nick will write out list of names, and then I'll write out names, and then we'll all just jumble it fucking together.
And then just like the first 3, that's the title
of the podcast.
Is Redemption : I don't know.
Death Redemption Dragon. EXE Latte
Ente
New Blood Anorexic Pulverizer
and then Reborn
Reborn Hot Topic Eyes and I'm gonna write Hot Topic Eyes in on my thing. Speaking of which, yes. Because I don't know if you'll be on the next live one, Invader Zim is coming back.
They got renewed for a movie.
So Hot Topic is like losing its fucking mind, right?
Oh, they're a jizz factory. Right? They're just.
That was like my favorite joke. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm so cynical about Hot Topic that I'm like.
Oh, that they're. Yeah,
that they're there. Why did Hot Topic play such a pinnacle role in my life? I'm trying to. Well, I mean, it's right here.
It's right there. It's like 2 blocks from. Yeah. And I remember when they used to
actually sell band shirts.
They used to sell band shirts, and
they were good bands.
They were great bands, and they also used to have like the gateway to hell as their entrance. The big wrought iron.
They really like drove into the. It's kind of the dark or whatever.
This place isn't for everybody. This isn't. Like
now it's pop figures and like
now it is where Hatsune Miku lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about Supersonico, my man.
But what are we here chatting about?
Oh yeah, we're chatting about. This is gonna be great for me because this was almost a month now, I think, since I read this book. We're doing Neil Gaiman's American.
We're all very
Norse.
We're all very excited.
I'm excited for a show. I'm planning to reread the story, so I think that's why.
Oh, for sure.
Before things, we'll probably do something with that. Like, but I still want to do the end of Samurai Jack thing once that show finishes.
We won't talk about it right now.
No, because again, and it's 2 last episodes really good.
They were.
So we're doing Norse mythology. So when I first heard about, I'll start off real quick. When I first heard about him doing this book, I was like just flabbergasted because I felt like he had read my mind and do it. This is because I'm super into Norse mythology and all that. The story that was printed in the Modern Corsair, first real short story I ever did, was very loosely inspired by a Norse myth.
Yeah.
That's specifically Baldur and Loki's. But Baldur's betrayal, which is caused by Loki.
Yes.
And so when he said he's doing his own versions of this, I was fucking like couldn't wait because we already mentioned it. We've sucked Neil Gaiman's dick like on here.
Oh, I can't even get thirsty anymore.
It's the only one for me. Because, I mean, maybe one day we'll do a Sandman thing. The thing is, there's too much.
There's so much of it.
There's so each individual short story. Yeah. No, I'm not even talking volume. I think each short story
issue of it,
could have we can do a whole episode on.
Dead Boy Detectives.
Oh, that one might be a two-parter.
Such a good premise.
Yeah. It's so good. I had to fight a friend because we got to read Volume 4, Seasons of Mist, which is my favorite one, for one of my English classes in high school because we were allowed to nominate something. Yeah. And I nominated that. And we had to reenact a scene from the book. He wanted to do the monologue that Lucifer gives.
Which is when
he's leaving.
Great monologue.
It's actually it became a part of a presentation I gave later that year. Oh, sorry, in depictions of hell and like all that jazz. I had a real cool senior year in English, and I was like, "That's cool, man," but that's gonna be one guy talking throughout the entire scene, and the visuals are gone, and the visuals are incredibly important in that scene. While Dead Boy Detectives, you can just have two guys talking because it's honestly just two people talking. Who's Oh, okay, nothing. It's an Amber Alert. Someone will save that kid. And I was like, fuck, dude.
You've seen a gold Camaro.
You see, fucking at 6 a.m. So yeah, Dead Boy Detectives. It's two guys talking. It's two kids talking.
Yeah.
No, it's like that's the entire thing, and you get some visuals of the nightmare he describes, but really the weight is in those words.
It's the relationship between the two characters, and just the great use of language and words constructed one after the other. I agree. I think that's maybe one of his best one-off.
And it has one of my favorite moments with Death because I think it says everything about her character.
Oh, please.
Which is she comes by and she goes, "Okay, I gotta take you guys." Like literally, she's exhausted.
Yes.
And I gotta take you guys. Okay, are you ready to go? And they're like, "Well, we kind of want to say." Okay, I don't care. Everyone, like the dead's coming back to life. No one has anywhere to die. I gotta go. You kids go on and have fun. And it spawns off an entire series because Death had too much shit on his plate.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, dude, that story's so good. Like, I want to reread that entire volume.
Can I also say I think another great story just worth talking about an undersold thing also with Death was great was the marriage of Dream's son. Do you remember that storyline? I don't remember Dream's son.
Which one?
Orpheus, the son of Dream.
Okay.
This is like classical Greece where the story's taking place.
Yes. Okay. No. I know everything.
He marries Persephone, I think.
Yeah.
And there's this great big wedding, and all of the Endless are there at the wedding.
Yeah. Okay. No, I do remember this because it was weird seeing him at a wedding.
Yeah. Exactly. And there's just a little moment where Orpheus is having a very stressful time and he doesn't know what he's doing, and so he goes to Aunt Death's house, which just looks like an apartment.
That's what I remember because you get her first look at where she lives, and it's a shitty 80s.
It's a shitty 80s little loft apartment.
Yeah, loft apartment. It's got a fishbowl.
A little fishbowl, and just
most of the walls aren't finished. A lot of it's a white void. There's only enough to hold a window.
Yeah.
Which doesn't count anywhere. Because why would it fucking go?
I just really like how because you've seen all the other dominions of all Dream lives in an eternal realm of opportunity and dream and Desire lives in himself.
Yeah.
And
which I think Overture does the best depiction of it.
Yes.
Because it's a 2-page splash and all that, but Overture by far has the best art. I don't think it's a competition anymore because the more and more I think about it, it's the best paneling. By far.
I don't think there was ever bad art, but
no.
The one that did kind of I had to readjust was when they switched artists near the end.
They started switching a lot.
Yeah.
The last story is done in a paintbrush.
Yeah, it's
Japanese
very
style.
different.
It was such a weird pick to make that the ending, which he would go back and make Overture the ending.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
And Overture's. If anyone hasn't checked out Overture, just go look at the paneling for that, because it's on another level. The paneling itself is a work of art, and then there's work of art in the paneling.
I mean, Gaiman is of course at the top of his game, and I gotta pull his dick out of my mouth right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, the artists for Overtures, the names forgo me right now, but they were both Will Eisner winners, as fucking evident in the fucking thing. But yeah, so back to
the thing we're talking about.
So when you heard this Norse mythology, what did you think? What was, not even reading anything. What was your
having not read a word of it? I
was excited.
I was excited. I thought oh well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I had read his other work and I was like, well, I know he loves it, and
yeah, I knew he already really liked Norse mythology.
He's always been. It's always had a special place in his heart.
Yeah, and he introduces the book talking about I fucking love Norse mythology. Yeah, that's all it said. No,
it was literally 2 sentences.
Yeah, I fucking love Norse mythology.
So check this shit out. But my relationship with him and Norse mythology had been in the book American Gods, and how that's kind of his way of getting into world mythologies in Norse. So it made sense to me that oh well, that's where he came from as a kid. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like Norse myth isn't as widely dissected, at least in the way that
well, it is and it isn't.
It isn't as it is. Yeah, Hebrew myth and Greek myth, people can tell you specific stories, but I feel like
people know Greek heroes without reading anything.
Exactly.
Straight up. It was because of movies and all that. He would just do movies stuff.
Exactly, but with Norse mythology, I don't think anyone could tell you off the top of their head
other than Thor,
Loki,
possibly Loki before the movies.
Yeah, and Odin. Those 3. But I don't know if anyone could tell you a story. They'd just be oh well, Thor's strong and Loki's sneaky and Odin's smart.
Someone may say at some point that Fenrir was a wolf.
Fenrir was a wolf. But other than that, they couldn't tell you oh, where did the world come from, or what are the frost giants, or you know what I mean. Yeah. Whereas I feel with Greek mythology specifically, people could be oh well, there was Hercules and he did 12 tasks and he was the son of this person. They can give you
Perseus
narrative.
Pulls out a fucking Medusa head every time.
Exactly.
He feels it a goddamn shotgun.
I feel it's a lot more fractured.
That's how I sum up all the Perseus's I'm reading Ovid's Metamorphoses now for class, all the Greek stuff in my head.
It's fresh.
Sadly, we haven't gotten to Norse stuff yet. I was hoping to get to that before the book, so that I would even know more in detail than what I already did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I call it the first man to have a gun. At least that's how I view Perseus's journey.
I guess another thing that's really nice about it is Gaiman. You get to see where Gaiman is pulling a lot of his. I guess when you study narrative, you call it base myth, the most bottom rooted story that you build out from, because these stories come in a lot of different ways.
Oh yeah, a lot of different.
They've been told so many times.
Well, they were originally an oral tradition.
Yeah,
just most of them, because they were fighters. They weren't really into writing.
They weren't scholars.
It wasn't until I think they actually started carving stuff into statues.
The runes and the
and then until they started really intricating runes into it and into they were mainly monoliths of just for the dead.
And then the one thing I do know about Norse mythology, about what we know about it, is I think Gaiman talks about it a little bit, is there's a bunch of stuff we just don't know anymore.
Yeah, because it was an oral tradition.
It's an oral tradition.
and those rocks fucking broke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is that generally a lot of the narrative, not unlike Beowulf, is considered to be heavily influenced by the fact that a lot of the texts of it written down were only done once Catholicism came to the country, and Christians had scribes write down. And so the traditions went through a kind of Christianization a little bit, especially Ragnarok. There's a lot of consideration that Ragnarok was specifically retooled to be more revelation-y, more similar to the Revelation of John,
rather than a recycling of things to be.
Exactly. So
which Neil Gaiman does, by the way. Spoiler. Well, fuck it. If you're listening to this, You should have already read the fucking book.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
So like,
unless if you don't, unless you did think, I don't know if I put it in the comments. We are just gonna go straight up, full spoilers. Yeah. This isn't really a book. Well, it's kind of is a book review in that we actually read the whole thing.
We read the whole thing.
But we're not doing so much a recommendation as in just discussing our thoughts of it and like breakdown.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
exactly.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, and then the other thing that I thought was like, and again is in the book, it talked about is at the end of Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to wait to talk about that, but like there's an element.
Well, just keep it very like simple.
Sure.
Don't dig too deep into it.
Is the Adam and Eve figure that is then hearkening back to Christian myth that a lot of scholars will say like, oh, that's not Nordic. That's some like Roman shit that they threw in to be like, oh, see, it's all one continuous thing. All that other shit happened before anyone cared, and then the real God took over after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is some interesting ideas about. We're only seeing a little window into this time period.
Yeah, of course we are, because like we got to take into several things into consideration. One is Neil Gaiman's interpretation of these myths.
Yeah.
So we would have to look at what source he's specifically using.
Yes.
Then we would have to look at what that source is specifically using.
Yeah.
And we'd have to keep going and going until we say, fuck it, it was a man in a mountain who told us the story.
I can't read this old... Yeah. I don't know how to read Norwegian.
So in the same class I'm reading Ovid, we just did Native American myths.
Awesome.
Those are all oral traditions.
Yeah.
They're all oral.
Yeah.
So there's literally one of my favorite moments and goes, they do the Thunderbird story. Which is the one I was most excited about because I heard that one a lot. Believe it or not, because of the Thunderbird Lodge in Knott's.
Oh, in Knott's very far?
Because I went there once and I went, who the fuck were the Thunderbirds? Because they sound rad.
They sound fucking cool.
Yeah, I know it's a car, but... but why is it? It was a Tim Allen movie.
Shit, calling it back. Sick reference, bro.
so learning about that, and the story, and I think the story ends with going, and the mountain, I forget what the name of the mountain is, but is where they dwelled, and we now call it Disneyland. So I don't think the Thunderbirds live there anymore.
I don't.
Because filled with hot dog stands. And I went, yeah, it's a fucking oral tradition, all right. So at some point they must have gone to a person and like for the collection I did, they actually went to the like designated storytellers for tribes and everything.
Oh, like and then they got the direct translation.
They got what they're telling them now, or at the moment that book was recorded.
Right.
Because again, it could change.
And that's the kind of before we get into it, I promise we'll talk about the book in a second. But so that's the kind of thing you're thinking about. It's a blend of history, it's a blend of culture, and it's a blend of whoever the fuck is telling the story at the time.
Yeah, do they want to talk about Disneyland? Like...
If they want to talk about Disneyland, they're gonna fucking talk about. Yeah.
Which appropriate? Marvel's gonna be there. Doors in Marvel, Norse Mythology.
Bringing it all around, man.
I would actually really fucking love if there's like part where you can go to Asgard and like.
I would go to Disneyland again if they built Asgard.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that though because the Thor movies weren't the best-selling ones.
They weren't the jewel of the Marvel.
Yeah, they were more middle of the road.
They were middle of the road
stuff.
Yeah.
Although Ragnarok looks pretty good.
I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Fucking Planet Hulk, dude.
Planet Hulk shit.
Like,
and what's his name is going to be the head of the Gladiator tournament. That fellow who always seems very befuddled that you're here. Hey, I'm Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. And,
oh god damn it, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my god, Goldblum. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What a treat.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into it. What's the? I'm gonna have to refresh my mind on what the first story is. So it's broken up into kind of sections. He gives a quick rundown of like who the big players are.
Right.
Like Odin and it's literally called the players.
The main players is Odin,
Loki, Thor.
Yeah.
We get into a bunch of minor characters. So he gets into just how it's created. So it seems like Niflheim was already there beforehand.
It was the always there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more this part is actually more self-explanatory because it's just like kind of exposition.
Yeah.
So, unless do you have anything to say about?
The only thing I have to say about the creation story, or the creation story in general, well, so you have fire and ice, and then like there's like a what is it, like an explosion between the fire and ice, and then
Because Muspel's there, and you get like the gods who are there beforehand,
and it's Odin's dad.
Yeah.
And then Odin's dad gives birth to the brothers, and then there's the first giant, whose corpse becomes...
Oh yeah, there's a giant fucking cow.
There's a giant cow. Yeah,
totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Ymir is the name of the giant that's there beforehand.
Yes, Ymir, and then that goes into world tradition. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about like its context and world mythologies, but like like Earth being a corpse is like a.
It's used for everything. It's like
in a lot of Chinese.
Kind of going back to Native American stuff. There's water.
Yeah.
For everything, the water was already there.
Yes. Basically,
there was no real concept of space.
Yes.
For them, it was because there was literally stuff like we pushed up the sky at one point.
Yeah.
Because we all got sticks and yelled heave ho.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's actually how that myth goes. And then someone decides to create land, whether it's the great whales or like giant fishes.
Yeah.
For one of the tribes, or Old Man Coyote is usually that was my favorite creation.
Old Man Coyote.
Myth because it's him just going. I think I'll do it. Yeah. And then, there's ducks too that are there beforehand.
Is it? There's a story about like people used to live in the clouds, and then like this woman falls into the ocean.
Oh my god, yeah.
Turtle saves her?
Yeah. We didn't read that one, but I know which one you're talking about. Because that was the one I was most familiar with until I read the Old Man Coyote one. And then, because that one's him going, I'll do this and this. And then people are just coming up and suggesting, well, why don't you do that? Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, why
not? You're totally right. Yeah, I should be doing that.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you make stealing wives a thing? Are you fucking serious? Jesus Christ.
Is it still Amber Alert?
No, someone's texting me. That is Corey from thing, not for anything in particular or whatever.
Don't worry about it.
It's not like I was on a podcast very recently and featured.
Oh, I'm excited to listen to that just for the Power Rangers talk.
Yeah, I was much more nicer than I thought I was gonna be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because honestly, that movie is just like very middle of the road. I think it's just fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's not offensive or anything.
Sure.
Anyway, back to this.
Yes, back to
So, Old Man Coyote's just walking around, and then one of them goes, "Why don't you make stealing wives a thing? That's stupid. Why would I ever make that? It seems really fine." And then one of them goes on this long, almost page-long rant about, no, it's the thing you want to have status, you want people to like think you're cool, and like you can build up into the tribe, and you're like, okay, well, you put it that way, I'll make wife stealing a thing. So, it might have been the crows, because the crows were really into wife stealing.
The crows are always...
So it might have been a crow myth. So yeah, that's a kind of playing with the corpse, or at least there's something already there.
There's also the story
because again, most of them didn't have a real concept of space or like a void.
No, I mean when you look at both the ones I was thinking of is West African and Chinese myth. Both of them start with like there's just water in darkness forever. And
that is the one constant, right? Light has to be created.
Light has to be created
at some point.
Darkness and water are the natural state of things.
Yeah, it's always weird, right? Like, is there any myth where light is the
natural state?
Yeah.
Shit. You know what? Maybe if I review my my Hindu texts, I'm not sure.
I'm curious because what does that say about us? Is it because like as on a primal level, we're so scared of the dark, and it's so. Like, our ancestors were so fucking terrified of it, and it seemed so
for
empty
good reason
and like...
at that time.
No, for real good reasons.
Yeah.
Those reasons being, I must stay alive.
Exactly.
And, like, so consuming that it must be the natural state.
I'm not sure. I mean, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
I think... The only one I think about... When I think about why water, I think it's when ancient peoples... They want to think about infinity. Because like something has to come out of the nothing of like unending everything, and they're just like, well, the ocean's really really big. That's like forever.
For all we knew, yeah, then most of them only thought their land was it. That was it.
Yeah.
There's nothing beyond that.
So like when you have the Shintoist myth of the where there's a lot of borrowing from the 7 happy gods of China.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, well, the sun jerked off and the cum dried into an island and that was it. It's
yeah.
There's some colorful mythology in the world. But and then you have like and in this book in Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman, the thing we're talking about. The death of the giant is very similar to the death of the first Chinese god, and then the skull becomes the sky. His blood
I forgot about that.
Rivers,
yeah, that was really dope.
And all that kind of stuff. That is like a reoccurring theme.
Yeah,
and it is very weird. I don't know if you want to dig into this or like.
Well, I can read a quick little
please,
passage. Just since I'll start from here. Sure. So just because I found the skull.
Good.
The seas that. Yeah, I tell stories on this podcast. The seas that girdle the world. These were Ymir's blood and his sweat. Look up into the sky. You are looking at the inside of Ymir's skull. The stars you see at night, the planets, all the comets, all the shooting stars. These are the sparks that flew from the fires of Muspel. And the clouds you see by day, these were once Ymir's brains. Who knows what thoughts they are thinking even now? And it goes on into saying like the world is a flat disc, encircled by ocean and giants and like.
And then there's the 9 realms and all that stuff. Which if you watch Marvel
fucking
movies,
metal as fuck, dude. I think that's one of the honestly, I think that's what attracted me to Norse mythology as a kid. So it's like it's fucking metal, dude.
That's why metal is so popular in certain countries.
That's why one of my favorite metal bands is all about like Vikings and shit. So.
Oh, which one?
Amon Amarth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, seen it 3 times.
But like you see this in a lot of world mythologies. Just before we move on, but you see this in a lot of world mythologies. Is there's either sex or death that makes everything.
Yeah.
It's either like there's a lot of stories with eggs, like the world hatched out of an egg, or 2 gods had sex and the world was made.
God, you gotta re-kill 6 billion demons because the way the world's made now is like fucking amazing.
Oh my god, I really when he showed me Chris showed me a few panels for a minute.
I showed him like the first 3 pages.
It looks so.
I think because that's what I usually show to sell someone on that comic.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my god! Oh, because it reminds me of like the way the world's created in that.
Oh, okay.
Which honestly, he's taking a lot of stuff from Hindu myths, so that makes a lot of sense to me now that I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, so I don't know. I think that it's interesting again when you were mentioning like what does that notion of the dark say about us? I wonder what that notion of death and sex both being the idea of origins.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that say about us?
I think what it might be is because one death is always it always has to do with something being the end.
Yeah.
Or being the period of our lives.
Sure.
Or anything, or at least the desire that isn't true, that there's something beyond, and then we go into afterlife and everything. One of the Native American myths states that very simply and practically there would be too many people, and and resources run dry, and that makes a lot of sense for that culture, and one where resources are very scarce and they learn to live hunter-gatherer, using everything and only making what's necessary. It would make the most amount of sense to them that it's because there would be too many people here, and their fears would come to realize when others start actually coming in
and taking over. Yeah.
Fuck me. What was I going with? Sex being because babies, right?
Of course, that's
and that reminds me of the egg thing because you actually see something come out of what in their minds is essentially nothing. It's just an egg.
That's true. Yeah.
And like seeing life from that, why wouldn't all life come from something like that?
You know, that does make sense. I mean, when you think about like for how long people drastically misunderstood how babies were made.
Yeah.
It's very amusing, but also
my favorite myths. A lot of the times are usually just ones that have to explain unplanned pregnancies.
Oh, go ahead.
So one again, Native American, mostly because this is really fresh in my mind.
Sure.
Is there's one of the rivers just comes to life,
okay.
or shit, this might be an Ovid.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's Greek.
Yeah, I think it's Greek, where the river itself makes a woman pregnant.
Okay.
And it just she's pregnant without ever actually being penetrated.
Oh, wow.
No, I think it is a Native American thing too, because I know there's like river monster, I think, that just uses water to impregnate women.
Well, you know, there is this beautiful.
That's why women come out of the fucking bushes with babies. So.
There is a beautiful thing in world mythology when you study enough of it that like cultures who never met each other have weird overlaps.
Yeah, what's the deal with dragons?
What is the deal with dragons, you guys? What's that deal? Also,
the Mayans,
China,
Shinto,
Europeans, even North African people. North American people.
Norse has dragons. Although in my head, I have to always question how much of that was Christian inspired.
That's true.
Because a lot of the times they're usually using giants or wolves or eagles.
We have to be suspicious of these things.
Yeah.
But also, all these stories.
Man, I can't wait to get to Fenrir. But what like?
Oh my god! And all the stories about brothers who murder each other.
Yeah.
So many stories about like they love you more.
Well, because I always think like as much as we talk about families being close now, back then when like really it's you and your clan.
Yeah.
Against the world.
Yeah.
Like the betrayal of a brother would have incredibly more weight.
Oh yeah.
Anything.
That's absolutely. I mean, when it's you and like 15 other people who exist.
Yeah.
In this area.
And this is all you know right now.
Yeah,
this is like you don't have time to worry about other shit, and one of them's like a bad seed.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. That does make sense.
All right, so let's move on to the next.
Sure.
We're gonna have a lot to go with, so we might just start picking our favorites.
Okay, no problem.
Yggdrasil and the Nine Worlds.
Okay.
I think. Well, this is where we get introduced to Asgard, Elfheim, Nidavellir, if I pronounce it, Midgard, Jotunheim, or I think it's pronounced Jotunheim. Vanheim, Niflheim, and Muspel. And Muspel is like the most metal, with like Surtur, who's the coolest.
Surtur?
Yeah.
Remind me?
He's a big fire, like blacksmith giant.
Oh yes.
Who is part of Ragnarok and will set the whole world on fire.
He will set the world on fire.
Before it cools down.
Yeah.
So, I always like that nice fire and ice thing, like juxtaposition, because it's a callback to the creation being which further exemplifies the whole. It's a cycle.
It's a cycle. Everything is cyclical.
Yeah.
Everything is cyclical.
Because it begins with fire and ice. It ends with fire and ice. So it's just going to keep going.
It begins with three brothers and it ends with
three brothers. Yeah. So good. So this is where he kind of introduced. There is one thing I want to talk about, just overall, the language of the book. How did you find it?
It was actually very conversational, I guess is a good word. It feels very accessible. He's going for something between like a fireside storyteller and just like a friend being like, "Hey, you want to hear this story?
Yeah,
I just heard."
Which is perfect for us because as we just talked about, it's oral traditions being passed down.
It really is.
So I think the choice to have it that more accessible language to say, and kind of easier to read, but plays very well when you read it out loud.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I think he kind of nails that tone.
Absolutely.
So I just want to get to it because like this is great.
Please.
So he talks about that. Mimir's head and Odin's eye. Anything to say about that?
Also metal as fuck.
Super
cool.
Very short. Like I think it's only like 3 pages.
No need to go in deep. He lost his eye. He got nailed to a tree.
Yeah.
Which
is what the Christians use. They use this tale to start influencing their own.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I remember the thing is always that guy. He was nailed to a tree. We had a guy nailed to a tree. Yeah, that guy's Jesus. So just
same guy.
Because it's easier to just make them to give them different names for their myths.
It is.
and do that.
It's I mean, it's kind of a reversal of what the Romans did, in that they would show up to places and be like, "Oh, you guys got gods here? We're into that. Can we have some of those?" And then they just give them.
And then they just keep adding and adding and everything.
Exactly.
Which in turn is actually more successful when, if we're talking real dark shit, in conquering people.
Yes.
Because they don't really have to give up any of their beliefs. They're just adding on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
To it. So maybe that's why the Roman Empire was like... A lot of people speculate that's why the Roman Empire did and got so big.
There is that story that's really famous to that exact point that's actually written about in like the New Testament, wherein I think it's Paul was the one who went to Italy went to Rome, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So Paul goes to there.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute for me too. So Paul goes and he's all about Jesus, and he's like, "Hey, my buddy, he got nailed to some stuff. You want to talk about it?"
Yeah.
And he shows up there and he talks about the shit. I'm a bad host. The word for the temple for all gods, a pantheon.
A pantheon. Okay.
And he's there and it's basically hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gods.
Yeah.
From all the colonies that the Romans have conquered. And then he's just like, "Oh my god, you've got so many fucking gods." And then you get all the way to the back, and there's just a plaque that says, "For all unknown gods," where the Romans are just like, "Yeah, there's probably going to be new ones.
Shut up.
We just fucking kill some.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Oh fuck,
real.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like that's fantastic, right?
That's fucking great.
And then
they were open-minded.
So open-minded, man. They're just like,
except about all the other stuff.
So like that's an amazing in, like them just being like, "You know what, guys? There's so many. We probably don't even fucking know. You know what? We're looking out for you though. We see you. We see you. I don't know. Set. Yeah, man."
Okay, so the next one is the Treasures of the Gods. This is where Sif's hair gets stolen.
Gets stolen by Loki.
That one's really great because I think that sets the tone for Loki.
It sets the tone. It sets the tone.
I think that because I believe that's the first story where Loki is like the major, or at least a major player in the tale.
And he's like, "You guys, I didn't know.
I stole her hair."
And
oh my god, is this where he makes the horse? Hang on, am I combining two stories?
No, the horse is the wall. That's when they built.
Yes,
the wall.
it is the wall.
That's
okay. The Donald Trump.
Yes, the Donald Trump solution. And then.
Which I have a few thoughts about that, but like
the wall.
Yeah.
We'll get to the
wall. Because I don't buy it, but okay. that's my thing.
The story of the Treasures of the Gods. So basically, it does set up the dynamic of the gods
of Loki and Thor, definitely.
And the premise that Loki is basically, I think they say it a few times in the book. Loki is the cause of and solution to most
all of the world's problems. And then they have the competition with the dwarves and who's the other blacksmith? Brock, to make gifts.
Great gifts for the gods.
And everything is way better than the original hair.
Exactly. She gets golden hair.
Yeah. That's
like even more beautiful, so on and so forth. I'm trying to remember because I remember this is how he gets Mjolnir.
Oh, this is how he gets Mjolnir. Because Loki tries to constantly mess up the blacksmith.
By becoming a horsefly.
A bunch of other stuff, I think. He tries making noises.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only one he truly fucks up is the hammer.
The only one that he fucks up is Mjolnir, which is still one of the best things that the gods have.
Which Thor was like, "No, fuck that. This thing's amazing."
It's fucking amazing. It's like, well, the handle's too short. Shut the fuck up.
Shut up. I can hold it in one hand. It's amazing.
What? It's that, and then there was what are some of the other gifts? There was a trident, maybe, or
I think it's the spear for Odin.
Odin's spear.
And it's the hair, and it's the new hair of Sif. Which is like better in every way than her original hair.
Exactly.
She goes off to show it off to everybody, and like right after.
And then the god of poetry is just like, well, I'm inspired. I'm feeling inspired.
Yeah, I'm inspired. I'm gonna write fucking poetry.
So yeah, I don't know. I really like that. Like I said, I think it sets up the dynamic for all the gods.
Yeah, it makes the spear Gungnir. If it sounds like I'm looking up stuff in the book, it's because I am. Because it's only been a month. It's been like a month since I read this over a span of 2 days too. For those listening,
it was a hot take.
It was a hot take.
It was a
because I liked it a lot.
I read it. I didn't read it in 2 days, but despite having a busy work schedule, I finished it in like a week.
No, you did. No, a week's still a good
yeah.
Like if everyone could do like a book a week, like
you'd be living a better life.
You'd be crazy. I think you'd be living a better life, but fuck, man. Because some books are long, Ian.
Some books are long. Not everyone's reading Dostoevsky every week. I mean,
well, what about those sci-fi like paperbacks? Where
yeah, you could burn through those 2 of those a week. Those are pretty quick.
I don't know. Some of them that are like real fat
Stranger
and like
in a Strange Land, I guess, would be a while.
Well, I just read like in Accession not too long ago, and that one. Ian M. Banks, I believe. My book's not with me at the time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't finish it. I should finish it. But that one has a hard wall of just like you need to know fucking terms and names.
Oh, for sure.
Because some of them are ships, and they're not people. And,
right.
Which a lot of those conversations, and some of them change names to fuck with other people.
Oh, for sure.
Fuck with other ships. So just to know that. So that's why I say sci-fi sometimes takes a little longer, depending on how dense the wall is. To be fair, that's in the middle of a series. So
that you just picked up, or have you been?
I had to read it for a class. Okay. But the deal with that book is that it's so far removed from like the series. It kind of just happens in the universe.
Oh, okay.
Is where we get at.
It's like Terry Pratchett rules. Like it's a series, but you can read it.
Things are connected, but
yeah. For sure.
Like there's one where it's all in like a fantasy almost setting.
Oh, cool.
But the one way it tracks is because these ships have sent down AI versions of themselves.
That's really cool.
So that's why it's really fucking weird whenever they talk and like their ships, and you don't know that because in that book they never fucking mention that.
Because we've already established this.
Yeah, because they established it in some other book.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway. Fuck, where is that going with? So they get the gifts, and it's really cool. Thor gets his hammer, and Loki... what's Loki's punishment again?
Death. He was supposed to be punished.
Yeah, he was supposed to die.
But he weasels out of it somehow. I don't remember actually off the top of my head what he did.
Oh, he can't talk for a while.
Oh, they sew his mouth shut.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sew his mouth shut. That's right.
So it ends with probably the best description of Loki. One of them, in my opinion. For Loki, the pain of being unable to talk hurt even more than the pain of having his lips stitched into leather. So now you know. That is how the gods got their greatest treasures. It was Loki's fault. Even Thor's hammer was Loki's fault. That was the thing about Loki. You resented him even when you were at your most grateful. And you were grateful to him even when you hated him the most. There you go. Boom. Character established.
Bam.
We can just go into
move on.
We can just move the fuck on to Master Builder. I totally forget. Thor and Ganesh fight Great Trolls. Okay.
This is the bit about the wall.
This is the wall story.
This is the wall.
Yes. Okay, so what happens is there's this guy, and he's like, I can build you guys a wall for the ice giants and make Asgard great again. Well, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. And look, and everyone's like, "Could he do it? The ice hands are nuts." But I want to marry. What's her name?
Was it Frigga?
Yeah, Frigga. It wasn't Sif because Sif is married to Thor.
Yeah.
I think it was Freya. And they're like, "Well, no, fuck that." And she's like, "I don't want to marry him. Does anyone care about like my opinion?"
Yeah. So, look, guys. Yeah. He's definitely not going to be able to do this.
Yeah, Loki. This is Loki
done.
But we can get a lot of it done.
And then we'll have what? Half a wall done.
Yeah, and then we'll make him build it as part of for free, as part of like the vet.
So here's what I say: we give him 3 months.
Yeah,
3 months to build a whole wall around the city. No one's going to be able to do that.
Do it.
And then we'll tell him he can have whatever the fuck he wants to have. Yeah. And then all the guys are like, "Well, that sounds reasonable. Yeah, that checks out."
And he starts building a wall. And no, the guy agrees to it.
The guy agrees to this. He's happy to.
I actually think it goes down to a month. Because I think it starts out 3 months. And then he goes, and then Loki says a month.
He has till the first day of winter.
Yeah.
Winter. Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, he still takes the bet.
He still takes the bet.
And he's fucking doing it. And
he's jacked.
And everyone's like, holy shit, this wall actually, not only is it coming up fast, it looks good.
It's really high.
It's really high.
Yeah.
It looks impermeable. Look at this shit. I can't even, like, fucking knock it down or anything.
It's waterproof. Like, I think he says, like, not even an ant could get through the cracks.
Water couldn't pierce through. I think they try it. And then they get really nervous because he's doing it.
He's doing it really fast.
And he's real buff. He has a mule who is like the biggest, toughest mule.
And he's going all the way to the mountains.
Yeah, climbing a mountain, climbs all the way down at the end of the day. Spends a whole night like
laying
this
stone. And very quickly it becomes clear, like, oh shit, we're gonna have to follow through with this promise. This is looking bad.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
And so, of course, the answer is, Loki, you better
fucking
something.
Fix this shit. Yeah, Freya. I always imagine Freya like grabbing him by the collar or something and just going fucking go. And then I know it's something to do with the donkey. Oh, he turns into a female horse,
a beautiful stallion.
Beautiful stallion.
Yeah.
And drags the working horse all the way
into the woods.
And fucks it.
Fucks the shit out of that horse.
Fucks the shit out of that horse. To the point where that horse has no stamina for the rest of the rest of the year.
It ends up having to be the man himself carries the stones on his back to build it.
Yeah. And he can't carry as much as the horse does.
No. And so he runs out of... He's like 3 bricks away.
Yeah.
He doesn't finish.
But he doesn't finish.
And then you find out that...
and no one's seen Loki for like a really fucking long time.
For a really long time. And as the gods are realizing, I guess it worked out. It's fine. Because several times in the gods are like, what kind of human being can do this? And it turns out, he's not... He's not a human.
He's half giant.
He's a half giant.
Yeah.
And so...
there's a word for it, but it escapes me right now. You keep going. Don't try to remember it.
And so the half giant realizes that he's been, bamboozled by the gods. And basically...
You fucked my horse. and then Thor comes in and he's like, what's going on? Oh, that guy seems like a problem. And then I'm just gonna fucking swings the hammer down.
And kills that guy.
And kills the guy.
Yeah.
And that, I think, takes the span over like 2 paragraphs or something. That's like... It's a very short ordeal.
And then Thor's just like, hey guys, what happened since I was gone?
Happened? Oh, that guy looks aggro. Can I like hit him or something? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then when Loki shows up, he comes with an 8-legged horse called Sleipnir, and Sleipnir becomes the official horse of Odin's horse, and he never likes talking about where he came from.
Where he got that horse. Never mentions it.
Nope.
Tries to avoid eye contact, I think, is one of the...
I think that is actually said in the story. Like, he was... But I also like that, like, Loki's gone for 9 months, or however long the pregnancy lasts. And I think it says something like, and the gods weren't really that worried. They were kind of fine.
Everything kind of just worked out. So... That's my favorite thing about them is like once everything
well that's fine.
There's no point of doing anything. I don't have to lift up a finger. Fucking cool by me, man.
Sweet.
Yeah. So is this an allegory for Trump's wall? Because I remember. Here's the thing. No, you laugh, but I remember when this book came out, or at least I think the short story was put out before the book came out, and people were talking about it as like an allegory to it.
In what way? So the giants are Mexicans,
well, Mexicans
in this metaphor, and the gods are lazy Americans.
Yeah, and Freya is the woman who's being ignored. Okay. That's the one thing where I can kind of see it.
That Freya is Donald's wife in this metaphor.
I think it would make more sense to me if I wanted to fit everything.
Sure.
That she's just women in general.
Oh, that
she's that one voice
as a bargaining chip without being thought of.
Yeah, and no one really uses her opinion on anything.
Okay.
But she's the one going like, I'll fix this.
This is ridiculous. Yeah.
Now, I don't buy into it.
Yeah, I don't see how this is.
Because one, it implies that Norse. Well, of course. Okay, so I was gonna say it implies that the Norse like came up with this beforehand,
Right?
but and they did. But like, of course, Neil Gaiman could have taken liberties with it. And I don't think he says it's an allegory, but I think what he does say, and what I think is closer, is that it's an old story that just happens to ring true, like, or has certain aspects that rings with us now.
Sure.
Because we're humans, we redo stuff all the time.
Cycle.
It's a cycle. So, that's what I think. I think we're just finding stuff to look into it, to connect.
See, I don't. Okay, I can see that. I definitely don't see it as an allegory.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because I don't think Neil Gaiman. If it was, every version I'm looking at means that Neil Gaiman is calling Mexican people giants who are besieging us.
Yeah.
And also that
that he decided to pick one story out of the thing.
Exactly.
To make it an allegory.
Or that
that would be really weird from him. I don't think he would do that with
place.
Yeah. So I don't buy it.
I don't see that.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to know what you're thinking. Because I saw articles beforehand. So yes, so what's the next myth?
I think
this one's really long.
Children?
Oh yeah, the children are lucky. Yes, so we get to talk about fucking Fenrir, who shows up. He's a fucking cool wolf pup. He's little pup woofers here.
Adorable little pup.
He's a tough, and like people are like, yeah, he's real cute until he gets real big, like any fucking dog you get.
Exactly.
And then, but one of them's like, oh fuck, dude, this wolf's great. Who's the guy? He's the
Ironsmith. No?
Yeah, the Ironsmith. I think he becomes blind too at some point, but.
He does. Oh shit! Everything bad happens to that guy.
Dude, everything fucking bad happens. That's why I like Fenrir's story so much, as I think because they get such a short end of the stick, and I think Fenrir is almost justified.
Fenrir is absolutely
because it was one of those. It's one of those things where I don't know if it's this. I think it is this story. Where he's chained up.
Yeah, that's the end of the story. Is how earthquakes occur. It's like one of those natural phenomena stories. But you want to talk about the other two first because they do get a shorter. Sure. But no, so one of them's the snake. What's his name? I think it's not Nidhogg. Because Nidhogg's an already being that exists. But the world snake.
The world snake.
Yes.
That Thor is destined to fight at the end.
And they will both kill each other.
Yeah.
At Ragnarok.
It might have been Signet.
Signet?
Yeah, Signet.
That sounds right.
And then he has... Yeah, because the daughter's name is Hel.
Daughter is Hel with one L.
Yeah, she's really cool.
Who lives in Hell named after
She's
her.
half corpse, half just living thing.
She has an eye of ice, I think is what it says. And she seems honestly nice. I don't know.
No, and that's her thing is they give her the underworld. Yeah. Because it's not called Hell at that point. It's just people visit Hell. Yeah. They're visiting the person. Yeah. And it's not really Hell in our sense because it's where everyone else goes. It's not just where bad people go. It's because warriors who die in battle go to Valhalla for eternal fighting. Yeah. But everyone else goes visit Hell.
And it's just kind of like a cold place. Yeah. It's like here, but just colder.
Yeah, there's nothing bad about it. There's nothing great. It's kind of just meandering. But they're all at a table. I remember that image. Because Hell's at the head of the table or the dining hall, I think.
And the table is called like starvation or something.
Yeah.
And then her bed is sick bed, and like.
Oh yeah, I forgot it's called sick bed.
Yeah.
But she's cool because they give her that thing, and she's like, "No, this is like,
okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in charge of this. Like,
all right, sir. I
don't have to do anything. Yeah. No, she plays off totally cool.
She's very cool.
And little puppy Wolf here is like, he's just playing around. He likes. I think it's Tyr. I found the name.
Yeah, Tyr.
Tyr. And Tyr likes him, and they're all like just buddy, and then they're like, he's growing too big.
And all the gods start getting nervous.
They get really nervous because wolves are like bad. Like,
and the thing is,
little puppy Wolf didn't have any problem.
He liked them.
No,
he was nice about them.
He was super nice. He had no malice,
no hatred for them.
In fact, he kind of liked playing with them because they did tests of strength, and he would I'm into that.
Cool.
And then one day they do it to just find out how how strong we have to make the fucking shackles.
Exactly. And then they escalate and escalate until they get dwarfen shackles, I think.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
I think the dwarves make it. And they use like this incredibly hard material that I think they use all of it, so it doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
Is the idea.
And
because he keeps growing bigger and bigger. Too. We didn't mention that. He keeps growing bigger.
He's the size of a mountain at the end of the story, I think. And so as a part of it, they're like, "Oh no, we'll let you go if you can't get out. It's fine. It's fine." It's like, I don't fucking trust you.
Yeah. Well, he trusts them for like the first 4 attempts, I think.
Yeah, but they keep doing it.
Yeah, and he's like, "No, something's.
This is not normal."
And then when he finally can't escape, he's like, "You guys obviously tricked me." We're like, "No, what?
And
you would never do that."
Oh no, but a part of it is you have to.
Tyr has to stick his hand into Fenrir's mouth.
And if you don't let me go,
I will
bite his arm off.
Oh no, he says anyone's arm.
Exactly, and
to put their trust, but
nobody
Tyr doesn't
volunteers to do it
except Tyr,
who loves him so much.
In fact, I think Fenrir has like this saddened glance when he does it too.
Oh yeah, why did you have to do this, man? Why did you have to do me this way?
Yeah,
yeah, and then he is cast into the deepest part of the earth.
Yeah, chained to a boulder.
With a sword in his mouth?
Yeah, I'm trying to look up who stabs it. The god... Oh, it's just the god nearest him.
The god nearest him.
He'll the sword jam into Will Swordjaw.
And so his mouth is always open and his saliva becomes
a river. Yeah. And then in Ragnarok, he will become big enough to actually break out of those shackles and will eat the world and consume it. Which... Fenrir's so fucking cool.
He's so fucking tight.
He's just a dude. He was just a guy enjoying life. He had no reason to do anything. It was just these guys were so scared of him.
And what you notice is
he was literally a gentle giant until they decided not to make him a gentle giant. His life. Yeah.
Loki has 6 kids, and all but one of them are born sweet. Mm-hmm. And they then fucked that up. The only one who was fucked up from the start, I think, was the serpent.
They were all like, "Yeah, no, this dude's bad. We'll just banish him."
But Hel's super nice. Sleipnir, steady horse.
Yeah.
And then he also
rides on rainbows. It's like fucking dope.
Rainbows, has spider legs.
Yeah.
And then he also has like 2 other kids who never come up again.
Yeah.
You remember that? Like.
Oh yeah. There's 2 kids that I totally forget who they are, but yeah, they never.
Loki has a wife who lives like in a cottage somewhere.
Yes, and he's like, why do you just keep leaving?
Oh, I've got stuff to do, man. Sorry, wife.
Sorry, wife and children.
I gotta take care of stuff.
By the way, you're related to a wolf.
Don't worry about it.
It's not like any wolf. It's like the wolf.
The crazy thing about, just as a side note,
sure.
Again, looking at world mythology in the context, God DNA is fucking weird.
Yeah, it can be anything.
It can really come up with anything.
Like, it's the golden shower. And, like, does the child just turn into urine as well, or into gold?
Because Zeus gave birth to Pegasus.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it comes out of his leg. Doesn't it? It's not a real birth. It's just piece falls off.
Yeah.
He sheds skin and like
it fucking comes alive.
Turns into fucking Pegasus.
Or in the Babylonian myths, in Babylonian mythology, like one of the god of time, I think, has sex with his sister because
who's his sister?
The goddess.
What does time have sex with?
The goddess of the ocean, I think.
Oh, okay, time and ocean.
Time and
what
the sea.
What the fuck would that make? Yeah.
It makes a tiger. Just a fucking tiger who is also a god, but is a tiger.
It's a tiger.
So don't fucking worry about it. Like, he's a guy with wings, and she's just a pretty lady, and they make a tiger. So don't, God DNA is, it's a gamble, man.
It's a real crapshoot.
Fucking...
Again, they didn't know how fucking...
Osiris's son has a bird head. It doesn't make any sense.
That's true.
Yeah.
That always weirded me out, because all their children have, animal heads. And, Osiris and, what's her name?
Isis?
Isis, yeah. They're people.
They're
just
guys. They're just a guy and a girl, and then
honestly, I think it's just boredom.
And Hey, would it be cool if we had a son and he had like a crocodile face?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be fucking cool.
It would be radical. I just pump that out right now.
Yeah. So just a thought, yeah. About, yeah.
Okay, so next one is Freya's unusual wedding. Is this where Thor cross dresses?
It's where Thor, has to cross dress because Loki has fucked up something.
Again, he has promised Freya to a giant.
Yes.
And he loses again.
And the fantastic line of she looks very tired.
Yeah.
Because the only thing they can see is Thor's eyes under the veil, and they're red with fury. It's
almost like a Three Little Pigs type deal. Oh my, she eats so much. And then there's just straight up like comic farcical dialogue here. Okay, I'll start right here. Thor was almost relieved when Freya began to speak. What kind of person do you think I am? She asked very quietly. Do you think I'm that foolish, that disposable, that I'm someone that would actually marry an ogre just to get you out of trouble? If you two think that I'm going to the land of giants, that put on a bridal crown and veil and submit to the touch of the lust of that ogre, I'd marry. Well, she stopped talking. The walls shuddered once again, and Thor feared the entire building would fall down. Get out, said Freya. What kind of woman do you think I am? But my hammer, said Thor. Shut up, Thor, said Loki. Thor, shut up. They left. She's very beautiful when she's angry, said Thor. You can see why the ogre wants to marry her. Shut up, Thor, said Loki again. Like, it's just like almost slapstick at that point.
It is. It's they're an Abbott Costello pair.
Yeah. I feel like he had the most fun writing this story.
It's fantastic when Thor and Loki have to work together in those instances because they actually work together as a comedy pair.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
No, it's straight up straight man and like funny man. Yeah. Or just he doesn't get it. He's so it's like, oh, you eat so much, and he has a veil on the entire time, and the food is just going through the veil and disappearing. Yes. Is like, what's the image in my head? Because he keeps it on all the time.
It's like Looney Tunes, like a bone goes in. And
no, I like to imagine it's like conveyor belt, right? Like he's got his left hand, picks up the food, and then pulls the bone that's being eaten with the right, like a fucking typewriter.
Is this the story wherein they have to go fishing together?
I don't think so. I think it's later.
Okay.
Yeah, they ate Thor eats a whole ox.
Okay. Yeah.
He ate 7 entire salmon. I assume salmon are like way bigger than like
these days.
In these days, left nothing but the bones. Pastries were brought to him. He devoured all of them. Mm-hmm. All of them. No one gets it, and they actually fucking complain about like not getting it. It's just a very real comical scene.
It is. It is very funny.
It's why I think I remember it so much. And then finally he gets the rings after all, and then immediately just kills all of them with the hammer.
Murders everybody.
Like a solution that could come about at any moment.
I think that solidifies Thor's character.
Yeah.
If it wasn't done in the
he's not getting anything out of this anymore. Like so he's just
Loki's thing is causing and solving problems with his mind. Thor's problem is hitting it till the problem goes away.
Until it goes away. The thing is, both of them work.
Both of them eventually work out, yeah.
They have no reason to think their own way of working out stuff doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
So the next one is the Meet of Poets. This is the most oral tradition-y of the one, if that makes sense. This is the one where it's obviously someone else telling you the story.
It's a beautiful story. I really love this one.
It's where Odin goes and visits. Wait, no, is it Odin that visits?
It's the god of poetry visits the world.
He visits the world. There you go.
Asgard, and there he is attacked by two
ogres
or ogres.
Yeah.
Who drain his blood entirely, and once he is extinguinated, his blood is turned into 2 vats of mead.
Yeah. And so the ogres can drink it and become like the smartest, most suave.
Beautifully spoken poets.
Yeah.
And then eventually the gods, very uncharacteristically, I have to say, are like, I'm kind of worried about that guy. He's been gone for a
Yeah,
while.
it's weird, right? Well, usually no one gives a shit about Loki.
Well, it's probably because it's Loki.
It's just Loki.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Poet never leaves.
And then, Odin leaves Asgard to go search the world for him.
And search he does. I think he, meets, a bunch of other people before.
Yeah.
He hears somebody who knows of these poets and, hears someone else. And so he finally gets them and finds out what happens.
Yes. And then you have the fantastic story in the mountain. And it's it is one of my favorite stories, actually.
Well, is that in the same one for the meter?
This is the same, because he finds out it's being guarded by a giant woman.
Yeah, and he, sleeps with, or convinces her to sleep with him.
3 times. Well, so he drills a hole in the back of the mountain, sneaks in, she catches him.
Yeah.
And he basically does the charm, he pulls out the charm, and he's like, well, you're so amazing, I just had to find a way to meet you.
Yeah. They
have sex, and he's like, you should really let me drink some of that mead so that I can write you a beautiful poem. And she's like, oh, I don't know. Yeah. They then have sex again. And then she's a little more forthcoming. Yeah. They then he has to have sex with her 3 times, and I think they cause another earthquake.
Yeah, they cause an earthquake.
And she's just like, well, just a sip, but you can't. And then he downs 2 vats of mead himself. She's super mad. He then flees in the form of an eagle. Yeah. I believe.
Taking all the mead.
All mead inside his belly.
Oh, and by the way, we totally forgot. Thor was preparing oaks, and then he hears the eagle and he goes, "It's time."
Yes.
That's actually his line. I think if I could find it. Then he whips him out so that Odin can vomit
all this mead back up. Yeah. To share among people. Mm-hmm. And it's a poetically beautiful thing that he shits mead in this woman's face. Yeah. And that's why people are bad poets. Is if you're descended from someone who got the mead shit in her mouth.
Here, I'll read the section because I found it. Because this is where I go. This is the most oral tradition ever. I'm going to decide where to start. Okay. When Odin approached the hall, he began to spit. A fountain of mead spurted from his beak into the vats, one after another, like a father bird bringing food for his children. Ever since then, we know that those people who can make magic with their words, who can make poems and sagas and weave tales, have tasted the mead of poetry. When we hear a fine poet, we say that they have tasted Odin's gift. There. That is the story of the mead poetry, how it was given to the world. It is a story filled with dishonor and deceit, with murder and trickery, but it is not quite the whole story. There is one more thing to tell you. The delicate among you should stop your ears and read no further. Here is the last thing, and a shameful admission it is. When the All-Father in eagle form had almost reached the vats, with Suttung immediately behind him, Odin blew some of the mead out of his behind, and a splattery wet fart of foul-smelling mead right in Suttung's face, blinding the giant and throwing him off Odin's trail. No one, then or now, wanted to drink the mead that came out of Odin's ass. But wherever you hear bad poets declaiming their bad poetry, filled with foolish similes and ugly rhymes, you will know which of the meads they have tasted.
It's such a good...
Yeah.
It's so good.
I just love that it starts with there. It's done. No, shut up.
So that's the end.
Okay, now that we're all cool, I'm gonna tell you.
Hey, now you all seem cool.
Now they're all the cool people. God, what's that? I forget what fucking Louis C.K. bit it is. He starts off saying something and he goes, "Okay, now they know you're all cool. We can keep doing racist jokes." And then the next one's Thor's journey to the land of giants. This is the one with the fast runner guy.
I love that. Yeah. I love that story. Again, it is very in the oral tradition.
It's weird to have it focus on someone who's not the gods. Because usually we get a lot of dialogue explaining their stuff too. But it's usually just, they're interacting, but you kind of don't get to see the whole picture.
This is about a human boy.
Yeah.
Which is a normal boy.
Yeah, who just is actually the fastest man.
Who's the fastest man on Earth.
Yeah. Because he has to be, I think. He's like a hunter or like something like that.
Yeah.
Or he's fighting for his sister.
He has become, he's become the bond servant of Thor.
Yeah.
Because he sucked the marrow out of his goat's leg.
Yeah, so what happens is, I remember that scene pretty well. Thor, they come visit and they go, well, you have to feed us, we're gods. And they're like, well, okay, but man, we only got like a bunch of these veggies.
Right.
You can have them. It's just not a lot. Then he groans and immediately kills his 2 rams.
Yes.
That are, and again, you don't know why. You're like, at this point in the story, you don't know what's going to happen. He kills the 2 rams right in front of him. Dumps all the meat into a pot. Yep. Must have been a big-ass pot. And, like, starts cooking them. They all eat. It's, like, the best food they ever had. Loki's like, you should suck the marrow out of those bones. It'll grant you, like, eternal life or, like, super speed or something.
It's real good for boy.
It's real good for boy. After Thor tells him, no, don't do that.
Don't break any of the bones.
Don't break any of the bones. Breaks one of the bones. He breaks one of the femurs, I think, and, like, tries to... And then Thor just reconstructs the ram. I think he just
he throws the bones onto the skin that he pulled off.
Yeah, and then they form back into the giant rams. But one of them now has a bad leg.
Yes.
And then Thor's like, well, now I have to kill you. So, like...
Sorry.
And then he becomes a bond
servant.
Instead. And then they meet a giant who's just sleeping.
Yes, that's right.
This is where they meet.
The biggest giant they've ever seen.
Yeah. Like, they think it's a problem because they have never seen one this big.
Yes.
And then he goes, no, I'm like the small fry.
Mm-hmm.
As he says, as he's like head over the clouds.
Yes.
Over Ymir's brains.
Yes.
And like...
Yes.
His strides are so big that even Thor and Loki, who are automatically like super incredibly fast because they're gods and the fastest man, barely can keep up. He seems like a mountain in the distance.
Yes.
And it's actually a pretty cool picture because he describes it. It looks like a far off mountain where you can't discern anything except that you know it's moving.
And that Thor becomes increasingly mad. 1, because it's a problem he can't hit to solve, and 2, because he snores, and so Thor can't go to sleep.
Fucking loud. And then Thor tries hitting him, like, to wake him up. And he goes, and then he goes, oh, was that a leaf that fell on me? Oh, you guys can eat the food, and they, oh, that must have been a pine cone.
And so then they come to his mom's house. Is that what he says? Or something?
Yeah, something, or his family den or whatever.
And there's an old woman serving them food. Oh, and that's what it was. It's in the land of giants. We want to see who can drink the most all at once. So here's our goblet, and the goblet's like the size of his body, of Thor's body.
Yeah.
It's like,
and remember, again, in these stories, all the gods are like actually really big.
Yes.
Especially Thor. So he drinks it, and he can't finish it in one go. And he does it again, and then he can't finish it. 3rd time, he barely makes it down.
He makes a little depression.
Yeah.
And then I think it's Loki is challenged to an eating competition.
Yeah, because apparently Loki's like super good at eating, which I didn't know about. I didn't
know. It has never come up.
Never came up with me. And then he loses.
He loses, and then there's a running competition with the fastest man on Earth, the human boy, who gets closer.
Yeah.
But never
enough.
And then
Thor's like, I'll wrestle you guys.
And he has to wrestle their grandma.
Yeah. And the grandma's like
smokes him.
Yeah. Fucking flips him. Hurricanranas off the top rope.
Every time he tries to like hit her with his like he just
Boston
can't
crabs
get
her.
any.
Yeah. And then they leave and they're all just like real butthurt.
Yeah. Devastated.
And then the giant is like, no, don't be butthurt. I deceived all of you. I don't remember what his reasoning is.
It was to teach them some kind of lesson, but I remember like the goblet itself. He's like
it's the ocean.
It's the ocean. Yeah. You actually made the ocean shallower.
Like that's fucking crazy.
But the man you raced wasn't really a relative.
I forgot the cat. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
Okay, the cat who you tried to lift was no cat. That was Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent.
Yeah.
Which these are so it's all illusions.
It's all illusions. They all believe that they are in an old lady's house doing all these things.
The old woman is just old age, like the incarnation of old age.
And
you can never beat.
You can never beat old age.
Yeah.
Everyone will succumb. The man you tried to race, that the boy tries to race, is Thought.
Yeah.
And he's almost as quick as a thought.
As a thought.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And I don't remember the eating. I think that was just eating. There wasn't any lesson. I don't remember.
I'm trying to find it, but fuck it. Let's just keep it as is.
Oh, sure.
Okay, and this is the apples of immortality. This one I remember the concept of it, but I don't remember much.
It was basically that Loki promises to bring back the apples of immortality.
Yeah, to an eagle.
Who it turns out is a giant. Yes.
And doesn't, or does? I think he does. He tricks her into getting an apple. So.
He tricks her out with the box that carries the apples.
Yeah.
At which point the eagle just takes her and the apples, all as a package deal. And then he just goes back to Valhalla, and he's just like, yeah, how's that
she's
going?
Gone.
Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, have you seen her?
Yeah.
No, I don't. No, it's weird.
Oh, okay, I remember the ending to the story. No.
Yes.
So she comes back. And Loki has to beat himself in the groin.
That's his punishment.
That's his punishment. He has to put on a laugh.
So he ties a rope around his genitals and ties
he has to make Scotty laugh.
Yes.
And what's the way he doing? He ties his genitals to like a ram, I think.
Yes. Who attacks and pulls. Yeah. And
amazing.
Also, the girl. At the end of it, the giant is killed who tried to steal away the goddess, but the giant's daughter has to be repaid because technically it was the god's fault that this happened. So she marries the one god she isn't actually interested in.
Yeah.
She was interested in the blacksmith god, is that right?
No, I think it was one of the poets.
It was the poet god?
Yeah.
Okay. And she marries the blacksmith
the blacksmith.
who she's about. But she does laugh when she watches Loki get dragged around by his dick.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a funny time.
The next story is the story of Gerd and Frey.
Of what?
Gerd and Frey. Yeah, I don't remember this one.
I don't remember that at all.
So we'll just skip over that.
Let's jump ahead.
Tell us in the comments why that story is super special. Here's the Thor's fishing exhibition.
Oh, I love that one.
You take the lead on this one.
Oh, well, so my memory of it is that Thor and Loki are in the land of the giants together.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, they are trying to impress upon a giant. At which point they're challenged to a fishing competition.
Mm-hmm.
And Thor basically says, that's not so hard. And Loki is like, are you really that good at fishing? And he's like, I've never done it before, but why not? And so the giant says to Thor and Loki, you can take any bait you want off of my land, and then we'll set out at 6 o'clock or whatever. Mm-hmm. So the man is digging up worms out of night crawlers and things.
Yeah.
Thor tears the head off of 2 oxen, which are technically on his land.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll use these. And they just tie a rope around the horns of an oxen, and he fishes and catches the Midgard serpent.
Yeah. And then fights it, I think.
And then he fights it, and it eventually... because it's a very tiny boat. It's a boat that's only big enough for the 3 of them. And he actually, almost sinks it by eventually dragging the Midgard serpent out. And the man is just like, please put that away. Stop. Let it go.
Yeah.
What else happens in that story? That's my takeaway.
Well, why'd you like that story? What did it do for you?
I liked.
How did it tickle you?
I think what pulled it to me is that it was a good example of putting character. Neil Gaiman has already established what these characters are, like we said earlier. This is an example of showing that they can grow, and sometimes you have to put them in situations where they're like, hitting it won't fix it.
Yeah.
And Thor actually doing something halfway clever.
Yeah.
On his own, without his brother helping him. Which is like, oh, well, ox are technically on the land. Wow, tearing off a head. And then well, fuck it, I'll beat you. He pulls in like a whale, I think. He pulls in crazy huge fish. And then he's like, I'll pull in this world snake. Things like that.
He does. Well,
I think that it's narratively showing that it's showing that your characters can be put up to challenges that cause them to develop. And,
yeah.
I mean,
which is kind of what you have to do with gods who are so strong-headed and in their ways. You have to put them in a situation where they can't do that. They can't do the one thing they're good at. They're gonna have to be better at something else. Except Odin, who's good at everything. So
yes, exactly. Odin, who knows everything and is good at everything.
Yeah, they're good at everything.
Which is why he's not the main character of a lot of stories.
A lot of it, and that's why his best stories are just him wandering around, like finding shit out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he's called the Wanderer in like storytelling.
He just pretends to be homeless and is like, "Don't you hear that shit?"
That's interesting.
Oh, well.
Which cool story? You ever heard of the Odin triple horn?
Tell me.
It's a design that's usually used. You'll probably see it on some like big jock's tattoo bicep, but it's like three horns spiral together. I'll show it to you later. And what those are actually, they're drinking horns.
Oh, cool.
And it's a symbol for Odin because Odin is the storyteller god.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's just supposed to be drinking horns that you pass around and tell stories with.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
I mean, there's some fantastic stuff with trinities in this.
Oh god, they explained the fucking knot. The triple knot. Yeah, I totally forget.
The 3-in-1 thing. And,
yeah.
Well, I mean,
they always have a thing with threes.
Threes are the rule, and threes have dominated our storytelling forever, basically.
Yeah, we love 3.
It's the perfect number.
It's
the
comedy comes in 3s.
I was just gonna say
it comes back in 7s though. So.
It does come back. It becomes not funny around 5, and then it gets funny again at 3,
and then becomes fucking hilarious at 7. It's the fucking best.
It's the eternal joke of Tina Fey has used this joke a few times of, I'm a great boss. I'm considerate. I look out for my coworkers. The third thing on my lists are always funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the beginning of Norse mythology begins with 3 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
This story kind of focuses on 3 brothers. Trinities are a huge part of the of our narrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next one's the death of Balder. This is the one where I base the story off of something.
That's a downer.
It is a downer. Because Balder is there's a prophecy told to Balder's mother that he will just die. Yeah. Or something will hit him. And she's like, "Oh, I better protect him." So she goes to every single thing in the world and asks him, "Hey, don't hurt my son." Everyone agrees except for what's it called? It's
mistletoe.
Mistletoe, which is poisonous. If in case anyone didn't know, she totally glances over that.
Who would ever use mistletoe?
Yeah, who the fuck would ever use mistletoe? Loki would fucking use mistletoe to hurt someone.
And so
so proud. Everyone's like, he goes, "Nothing can fucking hurt me, thanks, Mom." And like,
so they swing their swords.
Yeah, they start throwing shit, and it just bounces off or just fucking misses or like changes trajectory. Yeah. And everyone's like, "Ha ha ha!" So they start like everyone's throwing shit.
And so Loki goes up to the blind god. Thor, I think.
Hod.
Hod.
Hod. HOD, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna make sure because I know it's Balder and Hod. Oh, Hermod. Sorry.
He's
no, I'm again super sorry. It is Hod. Okay. Hermod is the one that goes down.
Yes.
So goes Hod, and who's blind, so he can't take part in this revelry. He's like, "Oh, I wish I could see." I mean, it sounds fine. Everyone seems like...
And Loki just says, "You know what? That's not fair. You should be a part of the fun."
Here's these darts I dipped in mistletoe poison.
And he's like,
for whatever fucking reason.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. And then they throw it. Everyone's fucking quiet. Goes, I did the thing, right? He's dead.
What?
Wait, what?
And then Odin's just like, well... Death.
Yeah,
has
death.
To be death.
So Hod dies for just being tricked by Loki.
And I think do they say like they're like, we know fucking Loki.
I think I think so. But they have to go. But
Hod did it.
But Hod did it. It's semantics. Yeah. And they go, Balder didn't deserve to die. Yeah. So Hermod, who's like one of their fastest and swiftest, rides into Hell.
Yes.
Well, to Hell. Sorry, I have to remember that Hell's a person.
Hell is a person and a place.
And a place, yeah. It's like that one Hebrew giant god that I told you about.
Yes.
Which I fucking love that idea. But right, so, and Hell goes, well, you can have him. Well, he's mine now. Is the deal? It's like, but everyone misses him. And he goes, not everyone misses him. And then her mother goes, everyone fucking misses Balder. Balder's a cool guy. And Balder's just like, it's kind of fine here. Like, and then she goes, okay, if you can prove to me that everybody fucking misses Balder, he can come back. And he goes, everyone misses him except one fucking crotchety old woman.
Fuck that guy.
Who has nothing against Balder. I think she does, but it's just straight up, I'm not gonna miss him.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, an old giantess in a cave in a mountain.
And what was her reason?
I'm trying to find. Oh, she's blind.
Okay.
So, because Balder's like this super beautiful.
He's gorgeous. Yeah.
Giantess scratching her clear throat. Oh, it's Thok won't weep for Balder. Alive or dead, old Zone and son brought me nothing but misery and aggravation. I'm glad he's gone. He's rubbish, blah, 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 blah.
She's just pissy about it.
Then they leave, and no one, like, there's nothing you can do.
Nope.
Balder's stuck there because one old crotchety lady. And then by this point, they make sure everyone knows it's fucking Loki.
Yes.
So, the reason I like this story is it's the first... First of all, it's the first step towards Ragnarok.
Yes.
Well, technically, it's like the second biggest play. The first one is entrapping Fenrir.
Oh, yes.
That's the first one.
Yes.
So this is the big second one. This is actually where the actions start getting more emotion and everything. Two, it kind of shows just how, like, they all realize how messed up these laws are.
Yes.
Because Hod had no fucking way of knowing. No, he's blind. There was no reason to distrust the idea that nothing will hit him. Nothing will hurt Balder. Exactly. So I like seeing that. I like seeing this betrayal by accident. Mm-hmm. And they all know it's fucking Loki. Plus the trip to Hell is like super cool to me.
It also strikes me as really interesting in the story that like Hell, the way it's phrased makes it sound like, oh, anybody can go there. Yeah. Like, you just have to know.
Yeah, anybody can go. You just got to know what fucking cave to go into. Because it is a cave entrance, I think.
It's a cave, yeah.
So, yeah, everyone can go and visit. Yeah. And there's no reason not to. Like, other than you're going to see Hell, and she's kind of fucked up looking. She's not nice looking.
Pretty intense lady.
Yeah. It's literally half dead, half alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which I think is a cool duality thing. It's like the half white, half black people from Star Trek. True story. I was in high school once, and I had a friend who was working for a newspaper, and they went, "What do you think of diversity?" And I go, those aliens that are half black and half white in Star Trek? That's what I think. And he had to write down that quote. I don't think he used it, but I'm curious to know.
They're white on the wrong side.
Yeah. I'm curious to know whatever came about that quote. Anyway, and I don't know. I just really dug this story. I was actually first introduced through that band I like, because they have a song called Herman's Right Out. Oh. And it's all about that story. Yes. And it has a sick ass riff. But I just remember looking when I wrote my original story. I didn't really necessarily have this in mind, but I was looking for names. So I decided to look. What I usually do is I just look into mythology stuff for names whenever I'm like super lagging. And I looked into this, and I found it pretty similar. So I even tweaked stuff in the story a little bit to fit in more towards it, while just still being loosely based. Like Balder's wife is still called Nana in my original story, sure, because Balder's wife is Nana in this. So I don't know. I think it's radical. I think those gods are really cool. And this is where we get into the last days of Loki. This is where he's tied up to the rock and has slow poison dropped onto the pretty fucking metal.
And his long-suffering wife. His poor wife.
Well, his wife is catching it from him internally. Yes. But that bowl fills up.
And she has to turn
and empty it out. In those few seconds, you get the world snake's poison.
In his eye.
in his eyes. So that's what sets him off into igniting Ragnarok, which is fucking metal. In the chapter called Ragnarok, the destiny of the gods, or the final destiny of the gods. So this is where just he breaks free, and he lets Surtur loose, and he sets fucking everything on fire.
Yes.
And the gods fight. They all fight to a standstill or die.
Yes.
And Fenrir is finally come out and eats the world. He eats the sun. And then he consumes like most stuff that's living.
And then
I'm trying to remember who freezes it over.
I'm blanking on that. I think the frost giants are unleashed. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the frost giants are unleashed. That's how he starts it off. The frost giants are unleashed.
And what is the god who finally sees Loki in the last moments? Because Loki is one of the last gods to die in Ragnarok. Thor is killed by the Midgard serpent, and Odin dies in battle also.
Yeah.
But it's at the end of it all. It's Loki.
Oh, it's sorry. Go ahead.
It's Loki and what god? Did you?
Heimdall. He's the prophet.
Yeah. And Heimdall basically asks him, like, was this really worth it? Ending everything? And he's just like, fuck it. I don't...
It is done, whispers Loki dying on battlefield. I won. But Heimdall will grin then. By the way, this is all done in future tense. Because I like that feeling that we're still living. Because to me, it's someone telling me now.
Yes.
And it's going to happen in the future.
Ragnarok's coming.
Yeah. I can see further than you, Heimdall will tell Loki. Odin's son Vidar killed your son Fenrir Wolf, and Vidar survives, and so does Odin's son Vali, his brother. Thor is dead, but his children Magni and Modi will still live. They'll take Mjolnir from their father's cold hand. They are strong enough and noble enough to wield that. And then Loki later says, none of that matters, the world is burning. The mortals are dead. Midgard is destroyed. I have won. I can see further than you, Loki. I can see all the way to the world tree. Himmel will tell him with his last breath. Surtur's fire cannot touch the world tree, and two people have hidden themselves safely in the trunk of Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil. Oh, man. It's great. The woman is called life, and the man is called life's yearning. Their descendants will populate the earth. It is not the end. There is no end. It is simply the end of old times, Loki, and the beginning of new times. Rebirth will always follow death. You have failed. Loki would say something cutting and clever and hurtful, but his life will have gone. In all his brilliance and all his cruelty, he will say nothing, not ever again. He will lie still and cold beside Heimdall on the frozen battlefield. And that's where Surtur comes in and burns everything.
Yes.
So that's where, it's cycles.
It's all cycles.
Mm-hmm. And this is where I can see the Adam and Eve.
The Adam and Eve thing. And also, let's talk a little bit about, so I think Gaiman, when he talks about Loki, I don't know if it's on his Twitter or something, because I follow him on internet and periodically. He talks to his fans. He's very open.
Yeah.
But
he's a cool guy.
So he's a very cool guy. He's very nice. If you stand in the line for long enough, he'll buy you nuts and berries to sustain yourself at 1 a.m.
He was on Arthur.
He was on Arthur. He was in the man's milkshake.
Yes. I watched that episode because I heard it was on it. That's weird.
I also get this vibe. So Gaiman has been asked, is Loki evil? Mm-hmm. And his answer has always been, Loki's just complicated.
He's a complicated guy.
He's a complicated guy. He's got a lot of layers. And I feel very strongly that I think that a lot of Loki's characterization became more overtly cruel or evil.
Yeah. Well, he's a fucking villain in Marvel comics. And
I think that's also an aspect of Christian influence on the text.
There needs to be a duality. There needs to be
good and evil.
Good and evil.
And I think that if you looked more towards traditional text, I think Neil Gaiman's channeling that is that Loki's complicated.
Yeah.
He's not...
He's kind of the most human out of all of them.
In many ways.
Yeah.
He just wants to be appreciated, and he likes feeling clever, and he's kind of selfish, but it's not like he's necessarily out to cause people pain.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes he does do that.
Sometimes he does, but it's more for, like, he finds it amusing.
It's not because he wakes... It's not like Loki is not a sociopath who wakes up and is
who
just
needs to watch the world burn or anything.
He just likes... He's very petty.
Yeah.
He's very petty, and everything has motives for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a part of that, when they describe Loki being chained to the world serpent and his wife, and him breaking free, starting Ragnarok, like that has parallels to Christian apocalypse of Satan emerging from the pit and
finally escaping his imprisonment,
and that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what deeper thing you could read into that other than what Gaiman has already talked about, which is these stories are very malleable.
Yeah.
They're very plastic, and the people who tell them affect them very, very much.
Yeah.
And I think Gaiman's doing a very good job getting back to a more pagan root, to a pre-Christian Nordic tradition.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it's oral tradition gives him total license to write it as he wants.
Yeah.
But having said that, I feel like he still maintains a good amount of faith while using his own voice to kind of voice it out.
No, I agree.
The whole thing of the cycle. I like the nice shot of life and life's yearning coming out and playing the chessboard.
Yeah.
Setting things in motion as it was is pretty cool. Well, they find the pieces first.
Yes.
Which is way cooler to me than actually playing, because they have to find everything to make it work.
Pick up.
Before the game starts, you have to set everything up.
And the pieces are the gods.
The gods.
Yes.
Which is fucking dope. I hope someone makes a chessboard with the gods and I can buy it. But it's a real nice image. It is a little bit of remnant of Adam and Eve. But I like this idea better. We're setting things in motion rather than... Because it makes sense for this myth to things be set in motion than it to start.
Yes.
Because it's a cycle and everything.
Everything is cyclical. Everything... Yeah. All endings beget beginnings. And that's the beginning of beginnings is an ending.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've mentioned on here before, I love the idea of cycles. Dark Souls has one of the most radical ones. Where I know because I gotta keep talking about Dark Souls, where it doesn't fucking matter. It's gonna happen again, and things are gonna grow old, and views are gonna change on which way is the right way. So no, I just love the idea of cycles. I think he maintains that pretty well. The language again, I'm in love with. When I wrote Kushan, I wish I had done more of this style. Like, that's what I should have done. I should have done it as a more oral tradition-y type thing.
Yeah.
Probably would have come out better, but... no, overall, dude, I really fucking dug this. I'm glad I waited. It was on sale on Amazon for, pretty cheap for a while. Yeah, I bought it for, $7, I think.
So we're saying buy.
Buy it. Yeah, it's a good book. If you like Norse mythology, man. I hope he does other stuff. Or...
I'd love to see him.
I would love to see his takes on it.
I'd love to see him, if he were to do another book like this, I hope that he does something a little off the beaten path.
Yeah, me too. Because I feel like, because he already did my favorite, and...
I feel like Greek and Egyptian maybe have enough spotlight.
Yeah,
I'd like to see something less...
Unless he does really obscure stuff from Greek.
Sure.
Can we talk about Perseus is just has a gun the entire time. I don't know, what myths would be cool, man? Well, I like the idea of doing Hebrew myths, just because I've been reading up on that.
Yeah, that's some crazy
and just
shit,
some radical giants.
The fucking Nephilim, demons and angels both in the mythology of Hebrews are way more interesting than what Christians have been on.
Oh yeah. We can talk about that. The whole Christianity versus Norse myths, where they are people. It's weird, right? Because Native American stuff that I've been reading, those gods are incredibly just very much like people.
Yeah.
Who just happen to have special traits. They even hang out with humans.
Yeah.
Because they're so similar and they talk to each other and almost as equals. Whereas Christianity, it's always no, they're beyond us. They can't
there's a hierarchy.
Yeah, this thing we can never interact with. They have their own hierarchy, but even their lowest of the low is like beyond what we can fathom or touch upon. So it creates this weird dissonance between them, and I think that's where it allows more fear to come into these kinds of religions.
Absolutely. I mean, you can have. It's actually really funny, and I don't want to say this in a way to upset anyone, but like when I was growing up, in my days of yore, like there was always the conversation.
You used to wear a yarmulke.
I used to wear a yarmulke.
Did you actually? I always wanted to ask you. I didn't feel like now that I know you're cool.
When I did for like a little bit when I was devoutly like had converted.
Okay.
I converted for like a few years and I tried it out and I was like, oh, Christianity wasn't working. This isn't working either.
It's working.
But there's all this conversation within Christian groups about like having a personal relationship with God, and I feel like with pagan gods, I could see having a personal
it's super
relationship.
Easy, yeah.
Yeah, like
because they're more people-like, or they're more like
they have personalities that work, whereas Yahweh, you know, God, the Hebrew God is like ineffable. He's more like an energy of righteousness.
Get closer to God. Oh, okay. What's he into? No one knows.
No one knows. We don't.
You can't make anything because it's sacrilege if you say anything. If you assume anything.
Exactly.
So okay. So there's not much talking points there.
Just be afraid of him. Okay.
Okay, but be close to him. Talk to him. Get to know.
He loves you. He loves you.
But be afraid.
Mad.
He's mad.
But see, like, and then you have gods like I don't know, fucking even the I don't know why this one popped in my head, but Quetzalcoatl from Mexico, like, I mean, he's a fucking dragon bird.
He's a fucking feather dragon. He's super cool.
But also, he seems super cool.
Yeah.
He seems super relatable.
He lets you know when it's the equinox because he runs down the pyramid.
But yeah, like
that's always like the fucking one of my favorite architecture, just things to know, is that dragon just runs out.
Yes.
So, you know. Also, if you clap at a certain distance, it makes a weird noise.
It's all echoey.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, I think pagan gods lend themselves to a personal relationship because they are the mirror to us. Particularly with.
Well, they were our explanations for everything that happens to us, and if we're going to come up with those explanations, of course they're going to come from things we know. And who do we know more than people?
Who do we know more than people? And more than that, families. Like pantheons for ages. Most pantheons are
families.
Yeah. It's grandfather, father to son. And
grandfather's always a dick too.
Grandfather's always bad about like how things are.
He's always a crotchety, cantankerous old man.
You know, in my day, there was nothing.
In my day, my children. There was no water. There's no light, and like.
What did you guys have?
We just ate our children. And it come out.
There was nothing but the darkness of Erebius.
That's what you children should be doing. Eating your own children.
Back in my day. Back in my day, we would slaughter our father and turn him into a world. Things were better then. Simpler.
We're simpler.
And then you have... the problems and the frustrations of gods, like the Norse gods, like Egyptian gods, are all... They're motives that we can understand.
Yeah.
They come from a position of, like...
That's a weird thing, too, to have just motives.
Yeah.
In general.
Exactly.
There's no real motive for Christian gods, or God, and other than he just did it. It just happened.
It's always he's inscrutable.
Because again, you cannot make a reasoning from him because it's sacrilege.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest you get sometimes is in the Mosaic books, the first 5, and in which case God is grumpy grandpa.
Yeah, he's grumpy grandpa.
And he's just like,
vengeful.
Fuck, I have to kill everyone! Are you sure? Yes, I have to... You promised not to flood. Fuck! Oh, where did I put the other thing?
Where's the salt?
But yeah, when you get into the biblical, Quranic, and Talmudic gods, they are that god is confusing for me. He isn't, as again, this goes against what people personally say, but I feel like he doesn't feel personal.
Mm-hmm.
He feels very removed and cosmic and like someone trying to describe what the Force is.
Yeah.
Like it's out there and it does things.
We need to have a discussion about whether or not Star Wars is fantasy or sci-fi.
It's a little it's at the crossroads, but sure.
I'm at fantasy. But anyway, that just reminded me, since you're talking about the Force.
But yeah. When you look at the relationship between Hercules and Zeus,
mm-hmm.
or Ibis and his father Osiris,
mm-hmm.
you see these dynamics of stop loving my brother more, or these things, and it's like, I mean, that's an overreaction, man. But I kind of get it. Yeah.
These very petty people with powers,
that's legitimate, and I think that's what makes them like. If I were a person living in a time before science existed,
mm-hmm.
I absolutely could see myself being like, well, I don't know about that Jewish God, but like a God who's pissed off that his wife isn't having sex enough. I get that.
I relate to every man here.
I relate to that guy.
Yeah.
Because I think that in an age before science and things like that form of belief has emotional resonance that makes sense. And again, like a lot of religion functions on narrative, and whatever is most narratively satisfying. Mm-hmm. And
that's why a lot of the cooler Christian tales have to do with actual people.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Jacob. Like I've already talked about, Jacob is like the coolest dude in all of the Bible because he's just a guy who's like, I want a blessing.
Yeah, exactly. King David did some wild shit that's for some reason only in the Catholic version of the Bible, but whatever.
It's not the angels who are interesting in those stories. It's the people who like have to deal with these ethereal beings that have no real...
Exactly. It's people being constantly put in situations like, well, what do I do with that?
What do I do? I just split this baby in half. What the fuck am I supposed to do with this shit? You kill son? No son? No, anyway.
You have
Abraham obviously has a Jewish accent. Okay.
You have just like this old Jewish man on an island just like having a bad drug trip.
Yeah.
And just like writing down like, and then the fucking dragon comes and then has sex with an Italian lady. Are you sure this is what? Yes.
This is what God said to me.
This is what God said. And then there's like a book, an angel screams, and then David Lynch comes out from the shadows.
I would like to let everyone know for this podcast we're purely talking about narrative.
We're only talking about...
We're not telling anyone what to believe or anything.
I mean, we also... I mean, you have to think about it in the terms of... there's people who also earnestly believe in the Hindu mythology, and they think that's absolutely real. We're only taking it, again, from a narrative standpoint, from a sociological standpoint.
The Hindu stories have some cool shit.
They do have some amazing stuff.
Like, it's almost like just how crazy everything happens. Like
there's so much of it because
there's a lot, man. There's like
5 books.
Yeah.
There's 5 different like talking thick books.
Yeah.
That are just like
I'll never be able to make a dent in like any of that myth. I just know the wheel of Dharma and that's Buddhist mostly. That's not even like
because also Hinduism and
Buddhist mix up so well. So you have to start separating them if you want to know.
They have overlappy bits.
Yeah.
And then you have the fucking Shiva and
Shiva's cool.
Yeah, Shiva's great.
So final thoughts on the... Well, that was pretty much final thoughts.
That was more or less final thoughts.
Alright, so you got anything to... Well, you liked the story. I liked the story. Everyone go buy the story. And then go read Sandman. Because everyone should read
fucking Sandman.
I think even fucking literary scholars should read Sandman because I think there's so much in there.
I don't mean this as disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the Watchmen. People should be reading Sandman. Sorry. It's such a good book.
It's I think I do. And I talk about the Watchmen a lot and how much I like it.
Yeah, but like fuck, man.
I think as I've gotten older, Ozymandias has become like my favorite character.
I always
what does it for me is the line where he turns to Dr. Manhattan and goes, "Did I do the right thing?" That line is the line that sells me on that character. Because to me that says so much. That's like, he had to put on this persona of just cold,
unquestioning.
When he came to his conclusion, he cannot look back. Otherwise, he knows he's not going to do it.
If he
knows his own humanity, so he has to put it down.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not until it's done that he no longer has to keep that shield up. That's why he goes into meditation.
Yeah.
And then it's through that meditation you realize, I don't know if I did it right.
This is a heavy choice, man.
Yeah. And Dr. Manhattan just leaves him, and he goes, I don't know.
Fuck.
It's such a dude. It's so fucking. Hey, go read The Watchmen, but go read Sandman. All of it. Yeah, Sandman's great. American Gods. I do want to do a thing on the show, but again, I'll probably do the same thing as I said for Samurai Jack. We'll wait till the season's over, because to have this just make it a weekly ordeal would be a lot.
That'd be a lot to go through.
Yeah, and it's easier if we can just get the whole arcing thing and talk about
picture,
it. Yeah, see it in the big picture. And as we all know, the ending of a season usually tells you how well that season was, actually.
I've got high hopes for it.
I do too, and Neil Gaiman has a hand in it. In the actual writing. There's new characters, but Gaiman put those characters in himself. Yeah. So I'm wondering. So to me, that sounds like he wanted to do this. He wanted to put in new characters, but
it would have been an unruly novel if he had put in every thought, every idea he had. But
with television, you can just have a one-off character that shows.
Yeah.
So
I'm very excited for the Djinn. I think that was one of my favorite characters in the book. I love that.
I'm gonna reread that book. I'm gonna reread it before.
It's such
yeah.
And for American Gods, also for its pedigree, it's being produced and directed by the man who created Hannibal, which if you've ever seen it, it's a pretty good show.
I haven't seen it. I'm so because it's only 2 seasons and it gets canceled.
Yeah.
So I know that show's for me.
Yes.
And I know that show will touch upon things that I love. I would love to watch. But the idea that I know there's no conclusion.
Yeah, it has a rushed conclusion.
Yeah. Well, because it has to. Because, they got canceled halfway through the second season.
Yeah.
So they had to reshoot shit.
I'm going to legitimately tell you something that is it's a very strange thing to say. It's a very unpopular thing to say.
Okay.
And this is saying how much I love the man. I think that Mads Mikkelsen, who plays Dr. Lecter.
Mads Mikkelsen, sorry. Yeah.
I think he's my preferred Dr. Lecter now.
Really?
So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
it's on my list, so I gotta. I'll do it eventually.
Yeah.
I just have to get over past that mental wall.
I understand.
Of knowing.
Totally.
So, American Gods will come out. We'll do a whole thing on that season. Fuck, dude. This book was good. What else?
This book was good. It was good.
Yes. Anything you got to plug? Anything?
Anything to plug? Let me think. I can talk about shows that are coming up that I'm excited to see.
Mm-hmm.
Besides American Gods.
Well, I mean for your own stuff.
For my own stuff.
Because then we can just keep talking about our stuff.
Sure.
And I do have to cut this off at some point.
Okay. If you've watched
hurry up, Ian.
Okay.
No.
If you watched the last few things, you know that I'm working on a project. I'm still working on it, so don't worry about it.
No, that doesn't have to do with fairy spelled with an E.
It does. Oh my god. Yeah, it doesn't have to. Sorry, I like the Y. I like fun, sexy time fairies that look like little tiny.
But you don't like the trickster fairies that are just dicks and
I like a little variety. I like teeny tiny elves, and I like.
You like Thumbelina is the problem, and it's wrong. And they have a cool bat and all, but
I like I forgot those 2 little girls' names, the 2 English girls who tricked everybody in the whole world.
With the photos, I don't forget, but I know what you're talking about. I know what the photos look like too in my head. But...
Yeah, you can picture them.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of fairy. What about you? What do you?
Well, we got this, so everyone's already here. On Matt and Chris Play All Night, we just started streaming. So we just did Ukulele. We were gonna finish all of Persona 5 until Atlas said no.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole affair. But we are going to be streaming soon, as I mentioned earlier, or I don't know if this got on the recording. I will be doing all of Kingdom Hearts with everyone, but it'll always be me and the thing.
Okay.
Be playing it. We're going to discuss my love-hate relationship with that series. It's a very complex relationship. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I got no projects going on right now, mostly because of like school and everything.
Sure.
So no short stories being written. I have ideas, but like there's a sci-fi thing I want to do, but I don't know when I'll have time.
Okay.
So yeah, hope if this goes well, maybe we'll do one more of these in the future. I kind of want to do one for David Wong's new book that comes out in December. He just announced.
What's it called?
Fuck, it's another thing where it has to do about books. Like
a very long, specific.
Yeah.
This book is filled with invisible spiders.
Yeah, John dies at the end. This book is full of spiders, fancy cats, and futuristic suits. Which that was kind of like a different take on it.
Yes.
But the title came back to books. I totally forgot what it was. I remember it being a good title.
Okay.
I went, that's so fucking him. I would like to do one for that if you're down, but that's in the future. Like,
sure.
Yeah, that's like in December. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See you around.
Sure.